What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Church Lady back with another video. I hope y'all having a blessed day today. Today we gonna look at a life of Dick Gregory, comedian, great speaker. He tell great stories, and we're gonna just look upon his life. This is something I've been waiting on to do. I just hadn't had the time until now to do it. So I hope you're having a blessed day. If it's any vulgar or any bad language, forgive me. I can't remember if it was any bad language. 'Cause he do be cussing in his stand-ups and stuff. But he speak a lot of truth, and he was real powerful back in his day. So let's get into it, and hope y'all having a blessed day, man. Again, hope y'all having a blessed day.
That comedy is about entertainment, not politics. That the best stand-up acts keep things light and avoid heavy topics. But there was one black comedian who proved that theory dead wrong. And the moment he stepped on stage and started telling the truth, America decided he wasn't funny anymore. He was dangerous. Before Dick Gregory, black performers knew their place. You could sing, you could dance, you could play the fool if it made white folks comfortable. But you could not stand flat-footed on a stage and tell white audiences exactly what you thought about them. You could not use their own laughter against them. You could not turn their comedy clubs into courtrooms where racism was on trial. Until 1961, when Dick Gregory walked into the Playboy Club in Chicago and changed everything. The kid from the St. Louis projects didn't just crack jokes. He cracked the whole system wide open. And that's when the real trouble started. Picture this scene. It's a cold February night in 1961. The Playboy Club is packed with white businessmen, socialites, and celebrities expecting the usual black entertainer. Maybe some singing, maybe some dancing. Safe, predictable, comfortable. Instead, Dick Gregory steps up to the microphone and opens with this energy. You know, I sat in at a lunch counter for 9 months. When they finally integrated, they didn't have what I wanted. The room goes quiet. Then he hits them again. Last time I was down south, I walked into this restaurant, and this white waitress came up to me and said, "We don't serve colored people here." I said, "That's all right. I don't eat colored people. Bring me a whole fried chicken." The audience doesn't know whether to laugh or leave. But Gregory isn't finished. For the next hour, he turns segregation into punchlines, makes Jim Crow laws sound ridiculous, and forces every white person in that room to see their own racism reflected back at them through humor. They can't get mad because they're too busy laughing. They can't stop listening because it's too honest to ignore. By the end of the night, Dick Gregory has done something no black performer had ever done before. He has used comedy as a weapon. That performance changed his life overnight. Television appearances on Jack Parr's Tonight Show followed. Comedy albums, national recognition. Dick Gregory became the first black comedian to regularly perform for white audiences without putting on a character or playing it safe. His jokes had teeth. His humor had purpose. And America's power structure took notice. Because when a black man can make white people laugh at their own prejudice, he's not just an entertainer anymore. He's an educator. And that makes him dangerous. But what Gregory did next made him something even worse in their eyes. A threat. By the way, if you want more stories about how America tries to silence black truth tellers, subscribe to Black Stories Untold. Now, back to what happened when Dick Gregory left the comedy stage and walked straight into the civil rights battlefield. The year is 1963. While other celebrities send checks or make statements, Dick Gregory is in Birmingham getting beaten by police batons. While other comedians are playing it safe in nightclubs.
Now, he was in the field, actually in the field. Now, I would say right now, protesting is worthless because we have so much other avenues we can go through. Petition. You can actually go to the headquarters of whatever establishment or whatever place you're protesting against, or you can just stop spending your money there. Like Target, people stop spending money at Target. and they lost billions of dollars. Well, I think of millions of I think of millions of dollars. So we don't have to protest. It's a waste of time now because it ain't doing nothing. There's other ways that's way safer and way better to go against whoever we protesting against. So protesting is like a waste of time at this point because there's smarter and more efficient ways. So, but the most safe and impactful way is not spending your money wherever you protesting against. Now, if it's like other places, then go to the headquarters or have a petition. Petition is real powerful as well. You can have people sign a petition. You can do it online. I mean, you can easily contact the news. You can easily be what's it called? Go to the town hall meetings. I mean, there are other ways you can go about it. Back then, they had no choice but to protest physically. Cause I mean, it just started, and a lot of people don't know it started with the military. The civil rights movement started with the vets coming from World War II. When they came out of World War II, they the one that started the Black Panthers, and they started the civil rights movement and stuff like that. So, a little history for y'all to know, just a little history. But he was out there in the field making a difference and doing stuff people wouldn't do, especially with him being an entertainer and stuff like that.
Gregory is sitting in Southern jail cells. He doesn't just support the movement, he funds it. When 3 civil rights workers disappear in Mississippi during Freedom Summer 1964, James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, and Michael Schwerner, Gregory puts up $25,000 of his own money as reward money to find their killers. That's more than $200,000 in today's money, coming out of his own pocket. This isn't charity, this is revolution. Gregory uses his celebrity and his earnings to bankroll resistance. He marches with Martin Luther King Jr., gets arrested dozens of times, shows up wherever black people are fighting for their lives and their rights. In Selma, in Montgomery, in Mississippi, in Washington. Always in the front lines, always willing to bleed, always ready to pay the price. But here's what made Gregory truly dangerous to the system. He didn't just fight racism, he connected the dots. In his comedy routines and his speeches, he linked segregation at home to the war in Vietnam. He pointed out how America could send black boys to die for democracy overseas while denying them democracy at home. He made audiences see the hypocrisy was not accidental, it was systematic. When someone can make people laugh and think and get angry all at the same time, that person becomes a problem. And in 1968, Dick Gregory became the biggest problem of all. He decided to run for president. Think about the audacity of that moment. This is 1968. Martin Luther King Jr. has just been assassinated in April. Robert Kennedy murdered in June. The Democratic National Convention turns into a war zone in Chicago. The country is literally burning. And into this chaos steps a black comedian from St. Louis saying he wants to be president of the United States. Not as a publicity stunt, as a serious candidate with serious ideas about ending the war, fighting poverty, and dismantling racism. Gregory runs as the Freedom and Peace Party candidate in some states, as a write-in in others. His platform:
Dang. There you go.
Simple. Stop the war. End segregation. Feed the hungry. When the votes are counted, more than 1 million Americans have written Dick Gregory's name on their ballot.
Oh, wow.
A black comedian has just proven that humor plus truth plus courage equals political power. And that terrified people in Washington. This is where the story gets darker, and where we see how America really deals with black people who refuse to stay in their lane. Because while Dick Gregory was making people laugh and making them think, J. Edgar Hoover's FBI was making plans. Gregory's name appears in FBI files under surveillance programs designed to neutralize threats to American security. Not arrest them, not charge them, neutralize them. The documents that have been declassified paint a chilling picture. Federal agents monitoring Gregory's speeches, his travel, his
You know you that powerful if the FBI is making you a priority of their list, because they got no telling how many people they had on their list. I know they had Martin Luther King, they had Malcolm X. I know back then in that time they had a lot of black people on their list, because these men and women were so powerful in the community to make a change. While the FBI, evil, wicked mind, wanted stuff to stay the same, but God was like, nah, I ain't gonna let that happen. So it makes sense. Even now, it's the same way, just different tactics.
Finances, phone taps, mail intercepts, plans to disrupt his activities using informants and provocateurs. Some reports even suggest discussions about using organized crime contacts to handle the Gregory problem permanently. All because a comedian refused to stick to telling jokes. This is the same FBI apparatus that was targeting Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and every other black leader who spoke truth to power. But Gregory was different. He had mainstream white audiences who loved him. He had celebrity protection. He had money and lawyers and publicity. He was harder to isolate, harder to dismiss, harder to destroy. So they tried a different approach. They tried to make him self-destruct. Gregory began engaging in extended hunger strikes to protest the Vietnam War and various injustices, some lasting weeks, others lasting months. He would fast until he looked skeletal, until his health was in real danger, using his own body as a protest sign. Was this his own choice? Or had the pressure, the surveillance, the constant threat finally gotten to him? The man who had used food analogies in his comedy was now refusing food entirely. The comedian who had made people laugh was slowly starving himself in front of them. But here's what the FBI and the power structure didn't understand about Dick Gregory. You can't neutralize someone who has already decided that his truth is more important than his comfort, more important than his safety, more important than his life. Every time they pushed him, he pushed back harder. Every time they tried to silence him, he spoke louder. Every time they tried to contain him, he found a new platform. In the 1970s and beyond, Gregory kept evolving. He became a health and nutrition advocate, kept performing, kept protesting, kept connecting dots that other people preferred to leave unconnected. When Native American activists in Washington state were fighting for fishing rights, Gregory went to jail with them and fasted in solidarity. When any group faced injustice, Gregory showed up. The comedian had become a professional agitator, and he was good at it. Here's the full picture of what made Dick Gregory so dangerous and why his story matters more than ever. He proved that a black man could use humor not to make white people comfortable, but to make them uncomfortable. He showed that entertainment could be education, that laughter could be resistance, that a microphone could be a weapon. He demonstrated that celebrity comes with responsibility and that fame without purpose is just noise. But most importantly, Dick Gregory revealed the system's greatest fear. Not that black people would get angry, they expected that. Not that black people would fight back, they were prepared for that. The system's greatest fear was that black people would make white people see themselves clearly, laugh at their own contradictions, and then demand change. Because when you can make your oppressor laugh at their own oppression, you have already won half the battle. Gregory didn't just open doors for black comedians. He kicked holes in the entire structure of American entertainment, American politics, and American power. He took the energy of the comedy club and brought it to the civil rights movement. He took the courage of the freedom fighter and brought it to the television screen. He proved that there was no such thing as just a comedian when that comedian was telling the truth about America. The FBI surveillance, the neutralization plans, the attempts to pressure and intimidate him into silence. All of that was America's response to a black man who refused to be just funny, who insisted on being fearless, who used his platform not just to entertain, but to educate and agitate and organize. They didn't fear Dick Gregory because he was vulgar. They feared him because he was accurate. Today, every black comedian who uses the stage to talk about police brutality, every entertainer who speaks out about injustice, every celebrity who uses their platform for activism owes a debt to Dick Gregory. He proved it could be done. He showed the way. He paid the price. And he lived to see some of the changes he fought for become reality. Dick Gregory died in 2017 at the age of 84, still performing, still protesting, still connecting dots. The kid from St. Louis who learned to make people laugh had taught America something it didn't want to learn. That humor plus truth plus courage is the most dangerous combination in the world. That laughter can be a form of resistance. That the funniest joke of all might just be the idea that black people would ever be satisfied with just entertaining you instead of changing you.
And the thing is, I mean, he used the gift God gave him, and that was comedy. I mean, he stood for something bigger than him. He didn't back down, no matter what happened to him. He had dignity. He had, what was it called? He had dignity. He had, not pride, he had confidence, and he was selfless, and he stood on what he believed, and that's the whole thing about it. A lot of people be scared to risk stuff because they conditionally doing it for some type of gain, but he didn't. When we can stand for something bigger than ourselves and not afraid to risk it all, then we'll be fearless as well. So shout out to him, R.I.P. And he wasn't the only one. There are other people that did the same. They didn't use comedy, but they used the gift that God gave him. And he used comedy, and he did it in a smart, good way. And I seen a few jokes. I gotta find his stand up comedy though. So I gotta see some of his comedies. But I heard him on stage before, and he was real smart and real intellectually sound. His jokes made you think, but they're still funny. So we need more people like that using their gift to fight against evil. Cause at that time, that's what racism is, evil. But we gotta just trust in the Most High and be able to use our gift so we can stand up what we believe in. And it wasn't all white people. It was just a majority of them. But guess what? They can never stop what God have for us as a community. We can only stop ourselves. So hope y'all enjoyed the story of Dick Gregory. Y'all have a blessed day. God, Jesus, Holy Spirit love you. I love you. Y'all have a blessed weekend, and y'all stay safe. We out.